Can you walk us through how the attempted change in the way of the census to ask for citizenship could have benefited the Republican Party? Similarly, are we in any danger from an undercount because of the panic-induced shortening of the census? So I'll throw that out to the group, and whoever would like to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting question. I mean, I think there's a broad perception that if you had a citizenship question on the census and you had been able to exclude, if you were able to draw maps using something other than total population, you using adult citizens or something like that, that would, benefit Republicans, and that's almost certainly true when you look at, at one level, but it's also, really what you're doing is you're taking out, if you were to do that, you would take out, not only non-citizens, but you would also take out children, right? In other words, if you were to use adult citizens to draw districts, you would take out, non-citizens and children. And, there are a lot of like suburban districts that are represented by white Republicans that have a lot of children, and so representation would shift from there to rural areas, and so who wins and who loses is not always clear. I also will say, like, if there was an effort toward the end by the Trump administration to take out non-citizens from the numbers that were reported for the census, but that would have hurt Texas, right? I mean, like it would have hurt some Republican states, because Texas has a lot of non-citizens, right? And or undocumented people, right? And so, it's not necessarily a blue state thing. As to whether there is an undercount, we will see. We have, there's some initial indications that there might be an undercount, but we really need to get the block level data, because right now all we know is how many people live in a state. We don't know where they live in a state. We don't know anything about them, their age or ethnicity or anything like that. And so we will really have to wait till that data comes out in mid-August. So,
Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but representation is done by how many residents you have, not citizens, not children, right? I mean, that
is like the legitimate and good reading of the Constitution. But some people have, Alabama filed suit, tried to argue that like you should exclude undocumented people because they're only like temporarily here. They're basically the equivalent of people passing through JFK on census day, right? Or JFK Airport on census day or something like that, which is a totally not a good argument, and rightfully, I think people have rejected it, but that goes to show you, like, people are sort of like try to rethink some of that. There is a Republican effort to like rethink like birthright citizenship. My father was in grad school when I was born, and neither of my parents were U.S. citizens at the time, but there is a Republican effort to sort of say, like, I should not then be a U.S. citizen because my parents didn't have loyalty to this country. And so so I mean, there are lots of efforts to sort of like exclude. I mean, this is the world that we live in right now. So, and some of those, we live in a world where courts are very different now too. So it's a little bit scary.
But there were legitimate concerns that non-citizens wouldn't answer the question, wouldn't respond to the census.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do think like a lot of people think that the damage was done when they tried to add the question, right? It was a very scary thing for non-citizens, and particularly for the undocumented, about answering something with the Trump administration there.
And there's nothing that says that went away when all of a sudden they took that question off or didn't put it on.
But we'll have to see when the data comes out whether, yeah.